Välkommen allesammen! In all these stories from the Norse world and in different places in the world, we hear about humans feeling, seeing, coming in contact with, and even communicating and talking to the spirits. Spirits of the dead, nature spirits, and even gods. What the hell? I want to see God. I want to talk to the spirits. How come I've never laid my eyes on a ghost? How come ancient humans could do this and we somehow can't today? Well, at least according to the sources. So first of all, we don't have to believe any of this. If we don't want to, we can just assume all the ancient people's beliefs are stupid. If you want to believe that, you are totally free to. And we are totally free to say ghosts and spirits are not real. That's totally fine. But for those of you who are interested in exploring these things, there are 6 ways, according to the Norse sources, that are said to be able to give us a glimpse into other realms, into that spirit world. Number 1, lift yourself over a door frame and look over it, okay? This one is attested very clearly in Ibn Fadlan's account of the Rus Vikings in the east of Europe, when the high chieftain there died and it was time for his funeral celebration. One of his female slaves was to be sacrificed and accompany him into the afterlife, and they were both cremated. One ritual, one of the many rituals that was practiced during this funeral, was the chieftain's men who took this woman, they lifted her up over the doorframe 3 times, and each time the girl told them what she saw. The first time she went over the doorframe and said she saw her father and her mother. The second time she was lifted up, she saw all her deceased relatives. And the third time she was lifted up, she saw her master in paradise, and it was there that it was green and beautiful, and everyone was together with him. They saw men and women and young people, and she saw that her master was calling for her. Now, again, I don't expect you to believe in all this. I mean, we are not going to see into the realm of the dead just if we poke our head over a doorframe. But I will say, in this source, that the slave woman was given so-called intoxicating drinks while she was singing happily. Scholars think that this was some sort of psychoactive drink that she was given and made her into like a frenzy and an ecstatic trance, which may make it possible to hallucinate these types of things. So take that however you want, believe it. We don't know what that drink was, but I will share with you that it was quite similar in nature, this ritual of looking over the door frame, similar to the next couple of methods that I will be speaking about. Next one, sitting on a fence or gate or hedge. We have a couple laws from Scandinavia in the 11 and 1200s onwards that prohibit this pagan act of riding on a gate or a fence. There's also an account of a Seidr practitioner, this kind of shamanic, ecstatic ritual practiced by the Norse, of going to a hedge, and there's also an Old Norse word, a word for a witch. One of the many words to refer to a witch was called tunrida, which meant hedge rider. And all this was believed to be like a pagan act that was banned by Christianity, sitting on this hedge, sitting on the fence in order to get a glimpse into other realms. So, sympathetic magic, guys. This one and the raising over the doorframe one that I talked about. 90% of religious or magic rituals practiced by all ancient humans can be explained some way by sympathetic of magic, okay? You sit on the gate in this world in hopes that you will get a glimpse into other worlds from that viewpoint. Just like Ibn Fadlan's account of the Rus, you lift yourself and gaze over the doorway in hopes that you will gaze over the doorway into other realms, okay? As always, I'm not saying you all have to believe this, I'm just saying that every single ancient human, each one of you and your ancestors, believed these types of things if we go back far enough, and it does make sense, and I think definitely with some either deep meditation or ecstatic states or certain psychoactive substances, it doesn't seem like that much of a stretch to feel that people believed in these things and actually saw into other realms. Number 3 way to see into the spirit world: bending over and looking between your legs. This is accounted in a couple Viking sagas. It seems to be either done sometimes to cast a curse, as was done in Vatnsdoela saga, as you see here. And there's also another example of bending over and looking between your legs in Kormáks saga, and an account of the holmgang, the Viking single combat. One man sacrificed the bull and bent over and looked in between his legs and said an incantation before the fight. So some scholars have actually suggested that this was believed to get also same thing, a vision, a glimpse into other realms. Don't know, but at least we can say for sure that this space between the legs was thought to have some communication into the realms, because the first one was a curse and the second one was kind of an incantation. But of course, okay, yeah, we all know that if you bend over and look between your legs, you're not going to see any ghosts. I will say, though, one cool thing, that there was a Nobel Prize winner in Japan, a scientist, that he actually proved that looking in between your legs, bending over like that, it actually proved that the size and depth perception is altered when you look between your legs like that. And also, if any of you have any young babies or toddlers, they're doing this all the time, bending over between their legs and looking. And there are different folk beliefs all around the world as to, why people do this, why the kids do this. Some say they're looking into the spirit world. Some say they're looking to try and find their next brother and sister that are going to be born. Don't know, but that's just a little fun fact. And definitely I think it deserves a bit more looking into. So this thing shows a big resemblance to the next thing I'm talking about on the list. Number 4, looking through holes. Now, this comes up everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. The most famous one being the hagstone. Just like this, a stone with a hole in it that you can look through. That's more of a Celtic tradition, actually, but we do have it in some of the Norse sources too, in the later on folk tradition, that if you hold a hagstone up to your eye, just like this, it will help you get a glimpse into other realms. It's also similar to an account in the Norse mythological source, Skaldskaparmál, where Odin, disguised as Bölverkir, tricks the dwarf Baugi to drill a hole into the mountain, and it was then that Odin was able to transform into a snake and enter the realm of Suttungr, the giant, and get the sacred mead of poetry. So there are some in Scandinavia who say this is actually the origin of what hagstones were, and it's a Proto-Indo-European thing, a common myth that we all shared, but that's a long story for another day. It doesn't just have to be a stone, though. In Swedish folk tradition, any kind of holes in trees were said to help get a glimpse into the spirit world. I think they're called ulveborg or something like that. But yeah, I'll put it up here and in front of the screen. You can also heal a sick child by doing this, pushing a child through a hole in a tree, or a hole in the earth, or a hole in a big rock or stone or whatever. We have lots of sources of that all around the north of Europe. See my video that I did on that right here. You could also look through other holes, such as antlers or bones, just like this one that Einar from Vardruna uses. I actually saw the Vardruna concert in town here last night. And he he had one there too. And also one of the oldest archaeological finds that we have in the north of Europe is this deer antler and skull, which is believed to be a religious tool for the exact same purpose that I speak about. So do all these work? Are you going to see a ghost if you look through a hole? I don't know. Try it. I'm not here to say anything about that, only the sources. Next one, number 5, you can sit under a hanged man. So this one is a bit more mysterious. We have some vague mentions of this coming from the Viking Age and Norse sources, such as Adam of Bremen's account at Uppsala about the hanging sacrifices from the trees in the sacred grove, while some rituals and evil incantations, they called it, were sung, as that account mentions. There also are similar beliefs to this all around the world. One of the more recent ones that we know of and have a pretty well-recorded belief system of this is the Inotaba Tribe of Southeast Asia. When someone dies, they basically plug up all the holes in their body to stop the soul from escaping and taking one of the living people with them. It's also a custom to not fall asleep in the house where someone just died because they think the soul leaving the body will take that living person dreaming into the realm of the dead. Cultures all over the world believe that type of thing. There even is one old German folk belief a bit closer to home. It's recorded that they believed that a little bird or mouse was the soul, and that escaped when you died, and also when you were dreaming, that escaped through the mouth or any other holes. So about hanging, when you are being hung by your neck, that plugs up all the holes to the head. All these holes up here are plugged. Your soul is down here, and it can't escape here when you die. So it only has one way to go, and that's out your ass. That's out the bottom door. That's why people are sitting under a hanged man. We have one fairy tale from Germany, actually, written by the Grimm brothers, but of course the tale is much older, and that speaks about a whole episode where a young boy basically did this, and he was chilling out with 7 dead men and talking to them all night. We think that all of this belief in the north of Europe originates from the myth of Odin hanging from the tree as he did in Havamal, and Odin also in Havamal, and more detailed description in Ynglinga saga, it's said that he could raise corpses from the grave and he could speak with men hanged at the gallows. A different note, Odin is also said to be able to see into the 9 worlds and get a glimpse into Valhalla when he is being tortured in the poem Grimnismal. So very clear that being near the dead, or even being close to death yourself, was believed to also give you some sort of sight, some glimpse into other realms. Yeah, Odin is a god, but many of the myths around Odin reflect very, very real rituals that humans actually did. Humans, when they get into this ecstatic state, this ecstatic trance state, which is what Odin's name means, and largely what he represents in the myths, he's not an actual person that may have lived, but he's many people that got to this ecstatic state. That is what the rituals surrounding Odin and those myths we hear about that are often about. But what does this all mean for us? I don't want to sit out all night next to a hanged man, and we'll probably go to jail for that. And I'm sure nobody wants to get tortured or take some psychoactive substance and sit on a gate all night or hold up a hagstone until my arm gets tired like this. We don't want to do any of that, so how can we basically see into the spirit world without having to do all these things that will get us in trouble or just make us go crazy or something that's not safe? Well, I'll give you one more thing that anyone can try. You all know it as Untitled Chapter, where you go out at night, and from the sources you can sit on a grave mound or the crossroads, as mentioned in many, many different Norse sources. I've done other videos on that you can check out. But just sitting out at night isn't going to do anything unless you can get to a very, very advanced meditative state. Or maybe if you hold up a hagstone to your eye all night, that might help us see some things. But one alternative is that you can look into the blade of an axe. we have a couple records from the Scandinavian folk tradition, a bit later on after Viking times, that if you go out, sit with an axe, and a couple other things too. I think if you took a cat with you, and if you took like a seal skin, or it was a bull skin, or a walrus skin, or something like that. I don't know, but I'll put it up on the screen here. But you can stick your axe into the ground, turn the blade, and face it towards you like this, and stare into it. And the tradition instructs you not to move your gaze from the center of the blade, no matter what you see around you. And that is apparently supposed to give you some sight into other realms. Will all these things by themselves work if we try them? I don't know, maybe, maybe not, but there are plenty more things that can help. Is this even real, or is it all just a bunch of shit? I don't know. This is not the things I speak about out here in the open anyway, but the Patreon group has access to this kind of information and into my thoughts and mind and experiences that I do not wish to share here. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the sources at least. Let us know if you have any others. Did I miss any? Do you have any ways of seeing the spirits from any other traditions in the world? Let us know. Vi ses nästa gång.